Hi guys. So this is my first video. Let me just throw that out there right now. This might not be perfect, but it's not intended to. I'm doing this because I want to start telling you guys my story. I want to start telling you guys my daughter's story. Um, Help raise awareness on a lot of the issues that she went through, that we both went through, my whole family, everybody, um, and that we're still going through till this day. Um, a little history of me. I'm a mother of three, 10-year-old, 3-year-old, and my baby, who's now 9 months. So let me see, I'm going to start from the very beginning. Pregnancy. Um, when I first found out I was pregnant with my baby, it was the happiest day of my life. Um, we wanted her very, very much. So finding out as fast as I did was amazing. I was 4 weeks pregnant when I find out. Our first appointment, we went. It was just to let us know, yes, you're pregnant. Um, 4 weeks, like 4 weeks, 3 days maybe. And from there on, I never expected to go through everything that I went through. Not just physically, but emotionally, um, mentally. From that day on, for whatever reason it was, God decided to give me this path. Um, so at my 10-week appointment was the first time that we found out that something could potentially be wrong. Um, they told me that the baby showed signs of cystic hygroma, which cystic hygroma, for those of you who don't know, is formation of extra fluid in the baby's neck and body. This can lead to a miscarriage or fetal death, better known as a stillborn baby. So you can only imagine how hard it was to walk out at that appointment. An appointment where you're expected to hear good news, to hear where, your baby's growing fine, all of that. And it wasn't like that for me. I walked out crying. And from there on, every appointment was somewhat upsetting, disappointing, and sad. The only good thing about appointments was that I got to see my baby, I got an ultrasound picture, and that's it. So from there, I was put with a counselor, a psychologist. I was referred to high risk specialist because they told me that cystic hygroma, depending on the size of it, on the baby, it could cause abnormalities in the baby's body, which means that, or at least this is what they told me, that 80% of the cases of babies with cystic hygroma don't make it to 20 weeks. And that if for whatever reason they do, that most of the time the baby is born as a stillborn, which means that basically they pass away at birth, or that if the baby does make it, that it can be um, that it could have any kind of Down syndrome, that it could have basically abnormalities, Turner syndrome, Roberts syndrome, like I said, Down syndrome. Basically, they gave me every worst case scenario. Um, Pregnancy was hard. All 9 months of it. Like I said, every appointment it was another bad news. The doctors wanted me to get a lot of tests done, and um, the only thing that I allowed them to do was blood work. And basically, they tried to convince me to to have an abortion. They told me that because the baby could have Down syndrome, that it was okay if I wanted to give up the baby, if I wanted to have an abortion or anything like that. That it was my that I was my option. I had that, and me and my husband made the decision that no matter what, we were gonna have this baby. That if for whatever reason it did come out with Down syndrome or any other kind of syndrome, that there was a reason to it, and that God was putting us as the parents for this baby for a reason. So we wanted the baby to be born. Um, since day one, we made that decision. Like I said, I didn't allow the doctors to do any of the testing that they wanted to do on me. I was not going to allow my baby to be an experiment. I was not going to let me or my baby go through none of that. I denied the amniocentesis. I denied any test that they told me that could give us more information on the baby's, you know, chromosomes or anything. I said, no, I'm gonna have this baby. Why? Because I didn't allow them to do that because it gave me a higher chance of having a miscarriage. My pregnancy was already high risk. Um, I'm a health coach. I I used to have a fit camp. I had to stop that. My doctor told me that I shouldn't be exercising as much, that I should be taking care of myself, to take it easy on myself because I could cause myself a miscarriage. Um, they told me that the baby wasn't going to make it. And to me, that was the hardest thing. The hardest thing was to believe or to even think that the little baby that I was carrying wasn't going to make it. Um, 20 weeks came and the baby was still there. That was the first time that the baby defied all odds, that she proved the doctors wrong. She stuck. My counselor, I remember, told me, your baby's being so strong, you know. So I was heartbroken from day one. Um, and the thing that my counselor told me was, if the baby's sticking, if the baby's staying strong, then you have to be strong. You have to be strong for this baby. And I tried. I really tried. Um, I forgot to mention that by 12 weeks, 12, 13 weeks, we found out that she was a girl. Like I mentioned before, I have two boys. So for me to find out that she was a girl, um, was mixed emotions. It was a blessing, yet I felt devastated at the same time because I wanted this little girl so much. And when they told me that everything could be wrong, it hurt me. It hurt me to know that my little girl was going through this. Um, One thing that really helped me was to have this amazing, amazing friend of mine, um, who became my rock. She became one of my rocks. Um, and I remember when I first told her that I was having a girl, and I questioned God, and I questioned why this was happening to me and to her. She answered me. She said, Nancy, there's a reason why God made her a girl. There's a reason why, you know, God did this. And you have to remember that women are stronger than men. Women can handle things better and, you know, in every way, in every aspect. Women can do it. I mean, come on, our bodies go through such an amazing process of just giving birth and everything. So she made me realize that, like, hey, God made her a girl for a reason. Because he knew that her being a girl, she would be able to overcome everything. And that really stuck here. Every time that I felt sad or depressed or upset at something, I remember that, my friend's voice was in the back of my head, always telling me that she's a girl for a reason. And then when my counselor told me, hey, she's holding on, she's being strong, you have to be strong, I realized that it's true. Finally, like I said, denying every kind of test, the baby was growing normal. Obviously, they couldn't see if something was wrong or not. They couldn't see if she had Down syndrome or not, because I didn't allow them to. And the ultrasounds they have are not, they don't show that much information. I went full term. Thank God. She's stuck there. She's a little warrior, and she was born. She was born at 38 weeks. When I first went into labor, when I first went to the hospital, it was so weird because it didn't really seem like I had a belly anymore. The doctors really couldn't find the baby. The machine that was supposed to monitor me and the baby wasn't reading me. The doctors struggled to find the baby for a while. They were like literally digging through my stomach trying to see where the baby was at. I don't know. It was so weird. Finally, they honestly didn't even believe me I was having contractions because, like I said, the machine wasn't reading me. And the way that they realized that obviously I was in labor and I was having contractions was because they noticed that every time I made an ugly face, when obviously I'm having contractions, the heart rate was dropping. The baby's heart rate was dropping. So they kind of put two and two together, and they were like, hey, you know what? Yeah, she's having contractions, but it wasn't normal that the baby's heart rate was dropping so continuously. They monitored me maybe for 5 minutes at the most, and then made the decision that, or realized that with every contraction, the baby's heart rate was dropping so low that by the time it recovered, I was already having another contraction. And of course, this was putting the baby in danger. They took me into an emergency C-section. I had the baby like a couple of hours later from when I first got into the hospital. She was born June 9, 2015 at 1:31 p.m. From day one, when they first told me that there was something wrong with the baby, they told me that at labor, if she did make it, of course, that maybe there was a high possibility of her being a stillborn baby, but that they would have all kinds of specialists there waiting for her to see if she did have any abnormalities, to do any kind of test that they needed to do to, figure out if there was anything that they can help us with. That's exactly what happened. I was in the room. They took out the baby. I got to see her for like a second, and then they took her away. My husband got to see her a little bit longer than I did. The specialist took over. They took her to the NICU. They weighed her. They cleaned her. They were trying to figure out what was wrong, if anything was wrong. The baby only weighed 4 pounds, which wasn't really normal because she was full term, 38 weeks. So right there already, we started questioning, well, why is she so small? I went into recovery and I didn't get to see my baby until the next day. Yeah, that was the hardest thing ever. Waiting 9 months to see my baby, and then when I finally have her, I still can't see her. You can only imagine. But after that, they connected her with all kinds of machines. They did what they had to do, and I got discharged. And my baby had to stay. But yeah, I said that this video was only going to be about my pregnancy, so there it is, basically. So I'll be making another video to keep you guys going on this roller coaster of a story. So I guess just bear with me, guys. And like I said, I'm doing this because I want to raise awareness. Cystic hygroma is, at least from what they told me or what I learned about it, a very rare condition. They told me it was like 1% of pregnancies were diagnosed with this, and that unfortunately we were that 1%. I remember when I was pregnant, I would go online and look for everything that they were telling me. I would write things down and Google a lot. I did. And I would YouTube a lot too. And every story was devastating to me. Every story didn't have a happy ending, basically. And I was so scared that that was going to happen to me. So the point of this video is to give those moms, give those families hope that cystic hygroma isn't always going to affect the baby the way the doctors tell you. Personally, I'm going to say don't believe 100% what the doctors tell you, because a lot of the time it's just them having to give you the worst case scenario to protect themselves, to protect their profession, to protect the hospital from any wrong, So yes, it hurts. It's physically, mentally, emotionally draining. Like I said, to walk into an appointment and come back crying because it wasn't what you expected. But there's hope. Just don't lose faith. Don't lose hope. Pray. Pray, 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 because that's what I did. And find a support system. Find someone, I don't know, who can be there for you. Like I said, I had that friend, I still have that friend who's been with me through everything, who held my hand and let me cry when I needed to cry. She is a nurse, so she gave me a lot of the other side of the coin information. I would ask her, hey, what is this? What is that? They told me she could have this. So she was the one who kind of made me understand, like, hey, they're giving you the worst case scenario just to protect themselves. Don't always believe them, and just keep praying, keep hope, and believe. Believe that your baby's going to do fine. Believe that she's going to be there, because at the end of the day, what you think, what you feel is what you attract. And therefore, if you have positive thoughts, then that's what's going to come. So there's hope out there, you guys. There's hope.